Association's board. Thank you, board members, for coming. And I do read a poem every day to my students. I begin each class that way. I tell them it's my gift to them every day. And I believe poetry helps me see the world more clearly, both in reading it and writing it. And it helps my students, too, to come out of their day and consider a thought for a minute. And then they're back in their day, but they have that with them throughout, hopefully, their lives. All right. I picked a theme today, and that is everyday bravery. The poems that I wanted to share with you have that commonality. I've tried to focus also just on the beauty of people and the interactions they have with each other as we come into this season of thankfulness, and also on today, which is Veterans Day. I want to take a moment and recognize any veterans in the audience, including my husband, who's here today, and say thank you, and to also say thank you is not enough. And my first poem is for actually two of our friends, one of whom is a Vietnam vet, and he's also a retired psychologist, and he's been incredibly important to our family, and especially my husband. His wife was a social worker prior to her retirement, and they are just both beautiful people. And so this is Fortune. It is for Sean and Ray. One surreal event after another has taught her acceptance. Life is forever a series of unexpected joys and losses. There is a whole geography of experience behind her, hills, valleys, deserts, and lush tropics where love bloomed wildly. There has been birth, and more birth, and then death upon death, a husband, then a son. There was the house that burned a decade ago, and the landslide last year that almost took her house again. Solid boulders shore up the soft ground now. Ferns grow once more. At 70, there is still much to learn, much topography to traverse, and in this temperate rainforest on the edge of drought that she calls home, she has learned to pan for gold in small streams that Chinese miners left over 100 years ago. Her husband, another veteran of life, rests on the bank after emptying the sluice into a 5-gallon bucket. He beams at his new wife, glowing, amazed at how fortunate he is, even before they begin to extract the gold. In the pan, gold is unmistakable, gleaming brightly. All right, so that's to honor Ray and his wife. I'm going to go backwards now to younger bravery. And this is really a childhood memory kind of poem, but it's also about innocence, it's about playing at being good in the world, and it's called Out in the World. Together on the kindergarten playground, he was Batman, and I was Batgirl. We ran from jungle gym to fence and back again, our imaginary capes flapping behind us as we flew through the air from the monkey bars onto the playground sand. Over and over again, we wrestled tornadoes into submission, foiled the plans of evil, mad scientists, and threw robbers, our unwitting friends, into the monkey bar jail. Then we chased them down again when they escaped, throwing them into jail again, and welding it shut with our superpowers so they could never escape again to do evil in the world. We were 5-year-old superheroes who saved the day many times a day. We could conquer anything, and did. I loved Batman, and I was simply happy to be doing good work out in the world together. Thank you. So I'm going to stick with a young boy theme here, although there I was Batgirl. a young girl doing good. This is about an experience I recently had with a young neighbor boy, and it just touched me. Such a beautiful little soul. He's a kindergarten boy, or maybe he's first grade. It says he's kindergarten in the poem, but this is called a trowel, right? The garden tool that you dig with. So just a trowel. The kindergarten boy from next door rang my doorbell and asked to use my trowel, which I had left out in the front yard, and which he saw as a very useful tool, if only he could get permission to use it. I was impressed with his language. Trowel is a very specific word, and a very useful word if a small boy wants to dig with a neighbor's garden tool. The word dug at my heart, as did his polite asking, and I could not say no, although I liked that trowel, as it was sturdy, thick, and had been given to me by my other neighbor, who grew too old and sick to get out and dig with it anymore. I knew that this trowel might not survive this lending, and the truth is it didn't. When the boy came back to ring my doorbell again, to tell me that he had broken the tip of my tool as he tried to pry up a stone from his yard, and when he looked at me to see how my face would turn with this news, and I could see that he was ready to receive whatever words might rain down, I was impressed again. It's okay, I told him. The trowel was old, and I have another. Absolution was not what he expected, because he hesitated and asked how much it cost, calculating how he might make this right with me, the kind neighbor lady who smiled each time she opened her door, even when his little brother rang my doorbell for the third time to offer me another fig leaf he had just plucked from my own tree. He knew my disposition towards small things. There are many useful things, tools, yes, but words too, and everything underneath them. It is possible to plant kindness with a broken trowel. All right, so children can be innocent and beautiful and kind and brave. I think it took a lot of bravery for him to come ring my doorbell. I don't think his mother told him, you go talk to her, right? Moms don't send their children to talk to neighbor ladies who might be upset. Not like that, I don't think. In the same way that children can just be beautiful, adults are also beautiful. And my next poem is one that it won an honorable mention in the 2017 Oregon Poetry Association Fall Contest, and then it was subsequently published in Slant, which is a literary journal out of the University of Central Arkansas. And I'm really pleased with this one. And I am pleased more so to know the people who inspired it. And so Lysander knows this story. There's a teacher at my school who teaches science, and he and his wife had always thought that they would have a foster child at some point or another, and they would welcome a foster child into their home. Well, the call came that there was a boy who needed a placement, and they had just had a child, but they knew this is something they wanted to do, and so they quickly got things ready, and it had to be quick. So they sent out an email to all of the staff and friends that they had, and the poem comes from this email. It also is informed by my understanding of foster children. My husband works as a CASA and works to advocate for children in the court system. And like I say, I'm amazed by the kindness and beauty of all kinds of adults for kids who are in need. This is Fostering a Better World. We are seeking a small dresser, a few empty drawers where he can tuck away his things, few as they are, because we are bringing him home tonight, because a piece of furniture speaks stability, because it is an anchor that holds you in place. It says, tonight you will not drift away. It says, when you come back to this place tonight, things will be the same as you left them this morning. It says, you belong here. It is somewhere you can keep your things and gather your permanence, tethering you to tomorrow. It is a comfort. We are seeking a dresser and more for this boy, for this world. We are bringing this boy home. Thank you. So, the next poem is about an encounter between people who are maybe on the margins, who don't know each other, who are strangers, and who simply offer politeness and kindness to each other in passing. And it takes place at a gas station, and is called Running Empty. Under the flickering streetlight on the curb outside the gas station where the fight just broke out, the long-haired woman with the dirty bare feet and the tired dog on a rope sits with her guitar and nods to the leather-faced, wind-whipped biker topping off his tank for the next leg of his journey to the next place he will find that feels like home, but isn't, not really. You ride safe tonight, she smiles. Her words both a command and a knowing wish that his path be clear for a bit, unencumbered by the kinds of obstacles that have brought them both here tonight to this place where you only come to go. The creases in her face are beautiful, he thinks, and imagines sitting down to talk with her, maybe petting the dog, maybe sharing a cigarette. But someone has called the cops to break up the fight, so he winks and says, I'll be all right, and rolls on free under bright moonlight. All right, so the next one is, in the same kind of narrative vein as the others have been. This is a longer one that I wrote years ago, and I've revised and worked and worked. So it's a longer narrative, and I think it's the length allows me to explore more complexity with connection and disconnection, and kindness and failure to be as kind as you want to be, with bravery and fear. And so here we go. This one's a little longer. Okay. Take you in, and then I'll bring you back out. Okay. Alone, not lonely. Even his rough had a smooth edge. He played his blues with fluid fingers, music flowing like water and voice spilling soothingly across an empty hardwood dance floor. Sitting alone with a glass of water and 3 empty chairs, waiting for the spin of earlier drinks with my Friday friends to settle, I slouched, listening to the blues man and Willing, the bearded man at the bar who came in slurring his very first order to leave me unmolested by attempts at conversation. He fumbled some words toward me anyway, not bothering to leave his seat, and I looked at him vacantly. Then back to the blues man, who was just finishing the song. No one clapped, including me. The bar was too empty for that. We were, none of us, connected, not even by the music. We sat separately, avoiding interaction, avoiding closeness. Then the blues man said, "The next one is dedicated to the lady sitting alone. Not lonely, that's different. Alone and lonely are two different things, you know. I hope you don't mind. The tight-shirted waitress who had flirted with the blues man earlier, as well as the one behind the bar with the long dark hair, both turned to look at me to see what sitting alone, not lonely, looked like. I was alone, so that was easy. The hard part was not looking lonely. Another waitress brought me a glass of water, and I sipped it, thankful for something to do with my hands while I fought down the impulse to go sit in my car instead of in the empty bar to let the buzz wear off. It would not have been a lonely kind of thing to do, to leave. Just cowardly. That's worse. It's kind of dangerous to dedicate a song to someone, he said. I hope you didn't mind. He approached me cautiously from the side, keeping distance between us, even bowing down, almost imperceptibly. No, I said, overcompensating. It was wonderful. Although I could not tell you the song he sang because of the blood which had pounded in my ears at the time, when I told him it was wonderful, I was not lying. I turned in my chair to face him more squarely with my shoulders, and he took another step closer and offered his hand. "What's your name?" he asked. I gave it, and we began to talk. How I had seen his famous nephew perform a few years back, how long we had each been in this town, other places we had lived, where we had gone to college, what professions we had worked in, where we had come from, all easy topics. And then I asked him what his earliest memory was. I remember my mother breastfeeding me. I do. And the flour she put on her breast to wean me, that's the way they did it then. Bread flour, you know? I remember that. I was 2. When I was 4 then, my mother died. My father took me then, and her relatives took her. I didn't go to the funeral. I didn't go to my mother's funeral. She was gone, and I never saw her again. All my life after that, I prayed that I would dream about her. You know, just dream about her so I could see her. I prayed and prayed, but I never dreamed about her. Things mostly went easy for me in life, like I didn't have to try much and things still worked out for me, like college and the scholarship. I liked to think that it was her somehow all that time looking out for me and helping me along. Then, one day, I got a dream. I was at the funeral. I just wanted to see her in a dream, but in this one, I got to go to the funeral. I was at the funeral, and she was there. She sat up in the coffin and looked at me and said, "I love you." How old were you when you got the dream? I was 32, he said. What a gift. The music for the last set was varied and gorgeous. There were sensuous Spanish songs and a lively tango. He played some old blues and some contemporary familiars. People in the bar had begun to clap, including me. The buzz was gone, but I was enjoying the music so much that I couldn't leave yet. The 3 empty chairs next to me did not seem so empty anymore. When he was done, the bearded man at the bar shouted for an encore and was immediately obliged. I got up to leave only after the last song was sung, but before leaving, I went to speak to the man who had made me cry. I shook his hand and told him thank you, that I had not planned on spending my evening this way, but that it was an evening well spent and that I enjoyed his music. On the whole, it was not a cowardly thing to do, to go and shake his hand again and to thank him. But this is what I wish I could have said. I want you to know that there was a part of your mother that did not want to wean you from her breast. There was a part of your mother that wanted to continue to hold you in her arms and to feel the tug of your sucking and know that she was comfort and love to you, and that she cried 2 days after your last feeding, knowing that the milk was leaving and that you would never need her like that again. She even considered offering her breast to you again, even though she did not. I want you to know your mother's love never did die, even though she did. That perfect wish she fed you through her milk, that you would know love not only through her, but beyond her, did not disappear. The love she fed you became your physical body, your heart, your lungs, your skin, your blood. Her love manifested in you, and as long as you live deeper inside you than your own bones or your smallest cell, you have love, and you are made of love. Any loneliness you have felt in your life comes from the memory of that love. That's what I wish I could have said. Instead, I left the bar by the back door and stepped into an alley filled with puddles. Rain slapped against brick and pavement and speared straight through my hair to my scalp as I sloshed to my car. Once inside, I sat quiet and alone, but not lonely, for a long time before turning the key and driving home. All right, I'm happy that I got through that one without tearing up more than I did. That one's rough for me. To express how much I love my children is what I wanted to say to him, because he didn't have a mother to be able to do that. So, that was heavy. I'm going to bring it back light, though, and get ready to transition to our next reader. This one is more joyful. It's called More Love, and it's, for those of you who care about form, it's a trimeric, so there's some repeated lines, and here it is. It's just light and lovely. More love. If there were more love in the world, love songs wouldn't be necessary, but we would sing them anyway for the joy they bring. Love songs would not be necessary, but we wouldn't be able to stop the dancing, and for that reason alone we would sing them anyway. We would sing those songs to babies and to dogs and to trees for the joy they bring, and for the amplified electric expansion of feeling that comes from all that loving. All right, and if my timing is correct, then I think I am at the end of my portion. I have one more poem, though, that I think will help to transition to Lysander, who is one of the most creative writers I have ever had the pleasure to have in class, and it was for that reason that I wanted you here with me today. This poem is called End of Day, and there's some students who are just really special. And this poem is in part here because I was trying to channel Lysander in writing it with beautiful imagery, and you'll see. I don't know if I got to where Lysander is, but I imagined old gods of the Northwest speaking to each other and what they might say to get the other to fall in love with them. And so it's not very long, but this was in part Lysander inspired. All right, End of Day. If you come with me at sunset, who knows what we may find? Perhaps I will call the elk to sing their wild symphonies for you on the soft forest stage. Perhaps I will wrap shimmering silver ribbons of river through your thick cedar hair and marvel as reflected sunset flecks beckon the stars to echo back their steady shine. Perhaps I will pluck warm clouds for you, like ripe apples, right out of the sky, and carry the basket all along the ridge. Later, when evening gathers and darkness descends, we will sit around the fire and laugh at how once we were so young and so drunk with light. And that concludes my portion. Thank you all for being such a lovely audience.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Let's give Jennifer another hand. I just want to say I really related to that poem so much. My own mom, who died too early of Alzheimer's. I'm fortunate that I dream about her a lot. She's in a lot of my dreams for whatever reason, even though she died some time ago. So it's nice to have that, to find her there. You know, so thanks for that.